Hey guys, Zen here a couple days after the trailer released, but I wanted to give more of my in-depth thoughts and almost like a monologue conversation style with chat on stream and also on my channel about the brand new cards and what I think they have implications for, as well as what I'm hoping for in this next set. Starting with Umbreon in no particular order, what do we think about this guy? First of all, huge fan of Umbreon. 100 HP is nothing to laugh at, right? However, the dark binding attack for 1 darkness energy seems pretty good, a little overpowered. A lot of people are saying this is overpowered. A lot of people are saying this is underwhelming. A little bit of both. I think it's pretty healthy in the middle. 40 damage for 1 energy is pretty good. The issues I have with this card are it retreats for 2, which kind of stinks. And on top of that, if the defending Pokemon is a basic Pokemon, it can't attack during your opponent's next turn. Meaning this is very good into things like Darkrai. This is very good into things like Giratina or like it just stops them from potentially attacking you. This is not very good into Ultra Beast Celesteela decks because the wording here says the defending Pokemon, not that player, right? It's not Shuppet. Is that the Pokemon Baltoy? Oh no, it's not Baltoy. It's Shuppet, right? The one that attacks, and it says that player cannot give their active Pokemon energy, right? So like it's an entire turn effect. If this was worded differently and said your opponent's basic Pokemon cannot attack the next turn, it would be the most broken move ever. Can you imagine if it didn't say if the defending Pokemon, if instead it was one of those that the status affliction was not actually right here and instead was at the top corner of the screen? It would literally just say, hey, if they have no evolutions, they can't play the game and you win. This would be the most oppressive card. However, with it only being directly countered by things like, I guess, retreating, Celesteela, Leaf, and X Speed, I still think it's pretty good. What do you guys think? Basic decks are going to be absolutely cooked by Umbreon. However, unless it's a Celesteela Ultra Beast deck, you'd have to run Ultra Beasts to counter this. Also, we don't know what the other darkness Pokemon are in this set. They think this is the only one we saw, right? I can't imagine we're only getting an Umbreon. I mean, we only got a fire type Blacephalon, but that's besides the point. I hope that this set is going to be bigger, and that's what I'm going to talk about at the end of this video, what I really hope we see for this set. But let's move on to its counterpart. Oh my God, these are so massive. Espeon. This thing, I'm not going to lie to you guys. When I saw this, I couldn't read the full effect. So I did not see all of your opponent's Pokemon. When I first read it, I was like, oh, it's psychic for 1 energy. Big whoop, right? However, after getting a fully cleaned out like description and being able to read this without like having the fuzzy trailer and not being able to read this is crazy, you guys. This attack does 20 damage for each energy attached to all of your opponent's Pokemon. This is very good with something like Stoutland, because with Stoutland, you force your opponent to include more energy. I'm already going to give you guys some amazing deck ideas. Stoutland, Tapu Lele, Espeon, all non-EXs and all crazy. What do you guys think? Oh, people are giving me ratings out of 10, 7, 8, 9. This is crazy because Stoutland's ability, Visage, Doggage, Visage, I forget what it's called, forces your opponent to have more energy. Tapu Lele can come in and pretty much hit them for that energy, but also Energy Crush, once they pull that Pokemon with like 3 or 4 energy onto their bench and bring something else out, that's where Espeon comes in. And I think Espeon is going to be crazy. We don't even know if we're getting an Umbreon EX or an Espeon EX, but assuming we don't, this is broken. This is pretty busted. However, by itself, Energy Crush, without the proper setup to force your opponent to require more energy, it kind of does nothing. It really doesn't. That's my honest opinion. All energy in play is crazy. Steamzard. This is a guaranteed 100 damage to Steamzard, right? This is a guaranteed 120 damage to Steamzard. So let's just say in a perfect world, your Stoutland is in the active spot. They have a Charizard. They get up to 6, but you've already hit them at least once for 70. Okay. They're down to 110. They knock you out. Espeon comes in for 1 energy and hits them for 120. They're at 110. You knock them out outside of Lily and stuff. Espeon is cracked, dude. This thing is insane. Espeon and Stoutland are definitely going to be a combination that I myself am very excited to try out. I'm sure we're going to see a lot of that though. That honestly might be a tournament, like a top winning deck list in my opinion. Next up is Jolteon, which is actually my favorite Eeveelution from Generation 1. Little interesting tidbit here. Jolteon is such a cute doggo, man. I'm going to be honest. It's so cute. Beginning Bolt though, for 90 HP is a little lackluster, to be honest. If this Pokemon evolved during this turn, it does 60 damage. But that's about it. I don't think there's ever a situation where you play this Jolteon. It's really bad. It's really bad. I can't see the situation. But we're going to piggyback off of that idea real quick. Because it's so bad, right? I don't think anyone sees this and they're like, yo, this is so good. Because it's so bad, I genuinely think we might be getting a Jolteon EX, right? I don't think they could have showed us every single EX in the trailer. At least that's my hope. Again, I could be wrong. If they don't give us a Jolteon EX, no one's playing this card, bro. This card stinks. Unless there's some other item that works with like a lightning Pokemon that makes them do twice as much damage, right? Multiplied times 2. This comes out for 1 energy doing 120 turn. Then maybe this is kind of cracked. But as of right now, this thing is so far from what we've gone over. I think this is the worst out of the bunch. All right, let's move on. Glaceon, 100 HP. It's a water type. Beautiful art. Not a huge fan of Glaceon, but this snipes for 50 for 2 energy. I think this card is a worse Luminion. I think it's Luminion. You guys remember that card? It does this exact same thing. I think the HP is around the same. Maybe it's a little bit less at 90. It is also a stage 1 that snipes for 50 for 2 energy. However, Luminion retreats for free, if I'm not mistaken, right? So outside of that, I think the only thing that's holding back this Glaceon is the fact that it retreats for 2. Water is really bad. A lot of people are saying water is bad, but I'm actually going to argue with you guys and say the next card we're going to talk about is probably the best card for water we've seen in a while, and that is Vaporeon. Now, a lot of people see this and they're like, oh my God, it sucks. Misty exists, you guys. Misty exists. Vaporeon is going to be a full-on coin flip deck. Imagine by turn 2, you evolve and you Misty. If you're going second, you only really need 1 heads, and now you get the Hyper Whirlpool for 70 damage and have Team Rocket Grunt. Misty sucks. Moon, like, guys, we cannot forget set 1 and set 2 and Gyarados and like, listen, Water Ramp was a thing. So let's just talk about this ability, right? Team Rocket Grunt, Guzzlord EX. That's a supporter and that's an EX Pokemon. The trade-off is you use your supporter card for 1 turn. The trade-off is you lose 2 points for an EX. Vaporeon is a non-EX that if you so happen to get Misty off of, gives you a really cool effect. I think this is better than Glaceon, and that's just my honest opinion. But that's not saying entirely too much. I don't think this is the best card in the set. Again, Espeon is. I think this Vaporeon is better than Jolteon for sure, and it's better than Glaceon. However, it's right there. So as of right now, we have Espeon first, Umbreon, Vaporeon, Glaceon, and Jolteon right there on the bottom. Okay. And again, we could be getting a Vaporeon EX, which I really hope we do. I'm very excited for that. Also, Manaphy synergizes with this. That's correct, El Crab. Lastly, let's talk about Leafeon here. This attack does 20 more damage for each grass energy attached to this Pokemon. I don't think it's crazy. I really don't. I think it's mid. To be honest, I think this, listen, if I go to the World's Open for Pokemon Pocket, which I'm still debating, to be honest, right? I would definitely run Celebi, Serperior, and this Leafeon. Okay. That's just because that's what I would love to do. Just full on coin flip Gambo with the whole World's Open and be like, ha ha ha, the luck was on my side. Lady luck, right? However, outside of that, I just don't think it's a great card, right? Because you still have to give energy to this guy. Maybe if we get something like Electrical Cord for grass, however, I don't think so because we already got Leaf Cape. On paper, this card is saying you have to give this Leafeon energy, which means other Pokemon on your board are being deprived of energy. And that's the issue I have with this card. Other than like there could be other cards in the set that actually improve upon this. It sounds like a fun deck. I'd say I'd probably have more fun with this than I would have for Vaporeon. So Espeon, Umbreon, Leafeon, Vaporeon, Glaceon, Jolteon. That's going to be the order. right? It requires you to give energy, which you only get one every turn, which is a very precious resource. So it's like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know without the other cards of the set, right? We're just being very, what is it? Objective, subjective, whatever the word is, based on the information that we have. Now, let's talk about the EXs. Starting with Sylveon EX. I love everything about this card except for when it was released, because Solgaleo EX exists and that thing one taps Sylveon EX. I'm sorry, it's super oppressive in the ranked ladder. Solgaleo EX. We can say, yeah, what about having a cape? That's silly. Like to say, oh, it'll survive with a cape. What if you don't have cape? To get one tapped by something for 2 energy kind of stinks. You're giving them 2 points. Happy Ribbon. However, we'll talk about that with the next Pokemon, because I don't know if Solgaleo EX is actually going to be as prominent because of the other Pokemon. Happy Ribbon is such a good effect because you're guaranteed to draw 2. So let's just say in a single turn, you can draw 4 cards from your deck. Sylveon EX might be the first time where more players are going to be aware of the, 10 card limit of the hand. If you have 10 cards in your hand, you're not allowed to draw any more from your deck. So I think it's 10 or it's either 9 or 10. I forget, to be honest. So I think this is going to be the first time we see that. And then 2 energy here for 70 damage. It's not great. It's not bad. The issue is Solgaleo EX exists and kind of destroys this card, right? However, drawing from your deck and thinning out your deck, busted. Amazing. So we need a meta that says Solgaleo EX can't exist. And I think that's where Flareon EX comes in. And I'm so excited for this guy. Flareon EX, 150. I think this is the best EX that we've seen. Out of the 3 we've seen, we haven't even talked about the other one yet. This is the best one. Okay. Fire Spin for 130 discards 2 fire energy from this Pokemon. You might be like, oh, that's so bad. Whatever. You can say that. 130 turns into 150 into Solgaleo EX. We're specifically talking about Solgaleo EX. With a red, it destroys Solgaleo EX because they also do 10 damage to themselves. Outside of lilies, outside of capes, we don't talk about that, right? So with a red, with a Greninja, with a Rocky Helmet, their Solgaleo EX is wrecked. There are so many ways that this Flareon EX just suppresses that Pokemon from the meta, which I am a huge fan of. And then on top of that, the discarding 2 energy isn't bad because Combust here says, once during your turn, you may attach a fire energy from your discard pile to this Pokemon. If you do 20 damage to this Pokemon. It's whatever. The 20 damage stinks, but you can do that the following turn after you heal, right? There's so many heals in this set as well as previous sets. We're not mad about that, which means you could ramp right back and do another fire spin. Another thing is fire type Pokemon have a lot of synergy as of right now with the discard pile. Blacephalon exists, right? You could run this with a Ninetales Blaine deck. There's just so many things that I'm very excited to see for fire. And I think they're going to emerge as a possible suppressant of both Buzzwole and Solgaleo EX. I want Flareon to come into the meta and say, hey, these decks cannot be played anymore. And that's just kind of what I want. Exactly. Flareon, Infernape, Blacephalon. That would be absolutely nuts. I think this is the best card so far that we've seen. And the reason I think it's the best card is because of the implications of saying that these other really top meta decks might not be seeing as much play. That's what I'm super excited about. Also, we just got a raid from Little M. What's up, dude? Thank you so much. Welcome on in, everybody from Twitch. I'm just doing a quick review of all the new cards that have been released. I appreciate it, boss. Welcome on in. And lastly, that brings us to Eevee EX. Not gonna lie to you guys, I thought this was a meme card. I was like, what is the point of this? Shout out to my Discord community. You guys are way smarter than me. This is actually pretty good. This thing allows you to run 4 copies of Eevee in your deck. 2 regular non-EX Eevees and 2 Eevee EXs, which also says that this Eevee EX can evolve into anything. It can evolve into an Eeveelution that's an EX. It can evolve into an Eeveelution that's a non-EX. This also allows you to run more than 1 Eeveelution. You could run 2 Leafeon non-EXs and 2 Leafeon EXs. You could run 2 Glaceon EXs and 2 Vaporeon non-EXs. You see what I'm saying? You could run a bunch of things with this card. It's actually pretty good. And I think it's going to see a ton of play in the Eeveelution quote unquote deck meta. Yeah, the toolbox is crazy. It does a solid 30. It has a nice 90 HP. And this ability, VV Evolve, I actually said it right. Again, it says this Pokemon can evolve into any Pokemon that evolves from Eevee if you play it from your hand onto this Pokemon. Now, this Pokemon can't evolve during your first turn or the turn you play it. So there's something that I find actually, now that I read this out loud for like the 10th time, if you play it from your hand onto this Pokemon, that makes me feel like we might be getting a card that evolves a Pokemon on the board from your deck, because I don't understand the purpose of saying evolves from Eevee if you play it from your hand. If you play it from your hand. So that opens up the floor to, are we going to evolve from X Pokemon from our deck, from our discard pile? Are there going to be cards in this set, in future sets that allow that? That's kind of nuts. Exactly. Rare Candy has the same text. I understand, but I'm just saying it opens up the floor to allow for future cards to say evolve straight from your deck. Pull a card that evolves and evolve it, right? Pull a card from your discard pile and evolve it. So I feel like, oh, did he really? Yo, fire. Great minds. What can I say? I feel like that's a very interesting thing to say, right? But again, meme card, I think Flareon is probably the best. I really hope they give us something that evolves from the deck. Now let's talk about the other cards, quote unquote, the elephants in the room that are insane. First is Swirlix, HP 60, colorless, and plus, if one of your Pokemon use Sweet's Relay during your last turn, it does 20 more. So it goes 10, then it goes 30, then it goes 30, then it goes 30, whatever, right? Retreats for 1. Okay, let's check out Milcery. I don't know, man. Words are hard. Same exact move, does the exact same thing, HP 50. This one is 60. And then we go into Alcremie, which is insane. 80 HP, 1 colorless energy, Sweets Overload. This attack does 40 damage for each time your Pokemon used Sweets Relay. This is, you can put this into any deck, you guys. You can play, if you're going second with Swirlix, I think you're on cloud 9 because that's 1 attack that you got off. If they can't knock you out, that's 2 attacks you got off. You could heal, right? Do something, maybe even switch. Go into the next guy. That's 3 attacks you've gotten off. That's 120 damage guaranteed if you're going second by the time you get Alcremie online. I think the only thing that holds this back is the fact that Swirlix is 60 HP and Milcery, I'm never going to get that right, is 50. So like this gets one shot by things like Skarmory. This also gets one shot by things like Skarmory outside of even like a Giovanni because of the weakness, right? But if it's something that's 50 with Giovanni, like this isn't great entirely. However, it's a really cool effect and I'm very excited for it. But because this card exists, I think we're going to see a lot of Skarmories. Just going to say that now. Let's move on to Penny, the supporter card that everyone says is trash. I'm sorry. I don't think it's as strong and as meta defining as, you know, Lily is, or Sabrina, or Cyrus, or even Mars. However, I do think it's in the same boat as Mars. I think where some decks play Mars, I think some decks are going to play Penny. I think it's pretty good. You can look at a random supporter card that's not Penny from your opponent's deck and shuffle it back into their deck. Use the effect of that card as the effect of this card. So a couple things, you don't use up that card. This Penny card would be entirely different and immensely stronger, in my opinion, if it took the opposing supporter card and then discarded it, used it and discarded it. So that's one thing that would make Penny super strong. Another thing is we don't actually understand how Penny's going to work. I just want to bring it to your attention, guys. There are a lot of supporter cards that you just can't use. You can't use Lusamine. You can't use Cyrus. You can't use, I don't know, help me out, something else, right? Unless a specific condition is met. Okay. So if there's something built into the game, kind of like the game has a mechanic where you're always guaranteed to draw a basic Pokemon on your first turn. If there's something built into the game that says Penny can only pull a random supporter card that its conditions are actually met, I think it's a stronger card. I think if this card can pull a Cyrus when your opponent has no benched Pokemon, this card sucks. It's a trash card. No one plays it. I think if this card can pull a not a specific, but can only pull supporter cards that conditions are met, it's insane. So like, let's say your opponent only has like a Cyrus, or cards that have conditions and you play this, they'll pull something like a Professor Research instead, where you get immense value from. The other cards don't help you out. So that's what I'm saying. So like if this pulls a Lucamine and like that does nothing for you, it's a trash card. However, if there is a built-in mechanic that works around that, which I think there should be, I'm excited to test this out. I think it's actually going to be way better than a lot of people are expecting, right? I think if it works in a way that says like, essentially nothing happens, but it could work like a berry, right? It could work like those cards where you can still use it, but if there's no card that doesn't meet your condition, like you can't use it or anything like that. So I don't know. It's kind of up there. And then finally, MuEX Penny deck would be kind of nuts. Finally, let's talk about this. Eevee Bag. I think it's a pretty mid card. During this turn, attacks used by your Pokemon that evolve from Eevee do plus 10 damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. That's cool. Or heal 20 damage from each of your Pokemon that evolve. Okay, that's really good. Never mind, I take that. Each of your Pokemon, that's insane. I thought it was only one. Okay, so choose one. That's what I'm super excited about, is this is the first card we're getting that says choose one, right? And I play other card games, like Bandai card games and stuff, and they do a lot of that, where there's multiple effects and they're like, hey, choose one of these effects. I hope this is the entry point where we're going to get more cards that say that. Choose one of the following effects, because essentially this is two cards in one. I'm a huge fan of that. In a game that's only 20 cards for a deck list, that is so good. I hope you guys see that, right? Essentially, you're getting two cards for one, but they only take up one spot and you're allowed to choose one effect. So I hope we get more cards like that. I don't know if we will, but that's what I'm very excited about because of that implication right there. But also the heal 20 from each of your Pokemon that evolves from Eevee, 100 times better than the first one, in my opinion. And that's pretty much it, you guys. That's everything from the new set. Now I just want to talk about really what I hope to see in Eevee Grove. It is set A2b. Okay. I'm excited for a new set, just like the next guy, but I'm going to be a little disappointed. I'm going to be honest. I'm not going to be able to hide it if we're only getting like 5 EXs, unless the rest of the set is amazing, because Extra Dimensional Crisis was the smallest mini set we've received at 69 cards. And it was kind of lackluster, bro. We got 2 EXs, Lycanroc EX and a Alolan Duck Trio EX, and they're kind of just memes. No one even plays that, right? However, if you guys remember, we never got an A1b set. We got an A2b Shining Revelry, and I loved that set, you guys. It was phenomenal. So I'm hoping, I am praying that it's the same as that set, and they're going to give us 9 EX Pokemon, maybe even starter deck missions, okay? That would be insane. 9 EX Pokemon, and then on top of that, the gold card, like the Pokeball we all chased. Give me Rare Candy or give me a Professor Research, and I would be ecstatic. But that's kind of where I sit. If we get like 5 EXs and the rest of the set is kind of mid, I'm just going to be like, oh my God, where's the next set? I'm just going to be waiting for the next set, to be honest. However, if they give us an entire collection where it might rechange the meta, I'm going to be super excited. But that's kind of where I stand. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and thanks for watching.